नजर नहीं आ रहा कैमरे।
मैम उन्होंने अपना कैमरा बंद किया।
नहीं तो वो कैमरे बंद किए नाम तो आए ना। हाँ नाम
वो यहाँ पे है ना। ये अगर इधर लिंक शो किया ना तो फिर आपकी स्लाइड थोड़ी
So, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum everyone. Dear student, kindly turn on your video. I'm waiting. Please turn on your cameras. Hello. I want to see my all students. कहाँ से करना है इसको? Participants से ना? I will mark the student of. I will mark the attendance of only those students who show me. Please show me your faces. So, beta, today we will continue the discussion of a respiratory system. Okay, yesterday we completed the topic of obstructive lung diseases. Okay, now we will start a new topic that is. That is a restrictive lung diseases. Okay, the restrictive lung disease is also said to be a chronic diffuse interstitial diseases. Okay, as I already told you that in obstructive lung disease, there is an obstruction in the airflow. While in a restrictive lung disease, there is a restriction and there is basically a defect in the interstitium of the lung. That's why there is a restrictive lung disease is also said to be a chronic diffuse interstitial disease. So a restrictive lung disease are characterized by a reduced lung volume, either because of an alteration in a lung parenchyma or because of a disease of the pleura, chest wall, or a neuromuscular apparatus. Means that basically the defect in a restrictive lung disease, there is a defect in a vital capacity. There is a defect in a lung vital capacity, total lung capacity. Okay, so unlike a obstructive lung disease such as asthma and a chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which show a normal or increased total lung capacity, while in restrictive diseases are associated with a decreased lung capacity. Clear? So, the chronic diffuse interstitial disease or a chronic interstitial lung disease are a group of a heterogeneous lung disorder that is characterized by a fibrosis of the pulmonary interstitium. Clear? If anyone asks what is a restrictive lung disease, then you must know that in a restrictive lung disease, basically there is a defect in the interstitium. Clear? And it is characterized by a fibrosis of the pulmonary interstitium. Clear? And the chest radiograph is very specific in restrictive lung disease. It shows bilateral lesion. Both lungs shows a interstitial disease, and it shows a small nodule, irregular lines, or a ground glass shadow corresponding to areas of fibrosis. Now, the complication of restrictive lung disease. The restrictive lung disease may cause the secondary pulmonary hypertension. It may be associated with right-sided heart failure associated with whole pulmonale. All the disease leads to a end stage or honeycomb lung. Clear? The clinical feature is dyspnea, tachypnea, cyanosis, and no wheezing, because wheezing is specifically associated with obstructive lung disease. Now, the major categories of interstitial lung disease. Beta, as I already told you that in obstructive lung disease, we divide the obstructive lung disease into 4 basic major groups: asthma, emphysema, chronic bronchitis, and then bronchic cases. While the restrictive lung disease are divided into 4 major groups: the fibrosing, disease which mainly causes the fibrosis, granulomatous disease, which causes the formation of granulomas, eosinophilic disease, which causes increased eosinophilia, and the other. So in a fibrosing group, there is a usual interstitial pneumonia, which we also said to be a UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia, non-specific interstitial pneumonia, cryptogenic organizing pneumonia, which we also said to be a COP or a POOP, connective tissue disease associated in lung diseases, pneumoconiosis, drug reaction, radiation pneumonitis. But these all diseases are basically comes under the heading of a fibrosing. These all disease causes the fibrosis of the lung. Okay. Now the second group is granulomatous disease, in which there is a formation of a granuloma, and the diseases are sarcoidosis and hypersensitivity pneumonitis. Now the eosinophilic smoking related disease are dyschemic interstitial pneumonia and respiratory bronchiolitis associated interstitial lung disease, and other diseases are Langerhans histiocytosis, pulmonary alveolar proteinosis, and lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. Clear? So, beta, please keep it in your mind that restrictive lung disease, there is a restriction in a total lung capacity. Clear? The total lung capacity of the lung will be decreased. And it is basically a disease of the interstitium. And there is a basic defect is it is characterized by the fibrosis of the lung. Clear? There are 4 groups: fibrosis, fibrosing type, granulomatous type, disease associated with eosinophilia, and other. In fibrosing type, you must know about the names of all disease. Anyone can ask the name of a restrictive lung disease, and you must know that these all are the restrictive lung disease. Clear? And these eosinophilic is basically related with the smoking condition. Okay, in which there is increased eosinophilia, as well as there is a abundant eosinophilic acidophilic cells are seen in a dyschemic interstitial pneumonia. Clear? And other is the Langerhans histiocytosis, pulmonary alveolar proteinosis, and lymphoid interstitial pneumonia. Now we will discuss one by one. The fibrosis disease is basically a chronic interstitial lung disease, in which there is it is basically idiopathic. Okay, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis and a non-specific organizing pneumonia. The key concept is a diffuse interstitial fibrosis giving rise to a restrictive lung disease. Okay, this is all I told you already, that in our restrictive lung disease, there is a fibrosis, and this fibrosis is then responsible for decreased total lung capacity. And so the ratio of forced expiratory volume to forced vital capacity is normal. Clear? But this is very important as far as your exam is concerned, because in a restrictive lung disease, one of the clues is that in a restrictive lung disease, the ratio is normal. The ratio of forced expiratory volume to forced vital capacity is normal in restrictive lung disease because the vital capacity decreases. Clear? While in obstructive lung diseases, this ratio is decreases. ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव में ये डिक्रीज होगा और रिस्ट्रिक्टिव में ये नॉर्मल होगा. क्यों? क्योंकि vital capacities decreases in restrictive lung disease while vital capacity is normal in obstructive lung disease. Clear? Now, the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis is basically a prototype of restrictive lung disease, and it is characterized by a patchy interstitial fibrosis, fibroblastic foci, and formation of cystic spaces, honeycomb lung. Beta, please, you must all these features of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Clear? These all are a feature of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Anyone can ask about the features of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis, then you must, there is a patchy interstitial fibrosis. कहीं fibrosis होगी, fibroblastic foci मिलेंगे, and formation of a cystic spaces which we call a honeycomb lung. Histological pattern is known as UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia. So I will show you these feature as microscopically. These feature looks like as these are the basically a fibroblastic focus. These are the fibroblasts. These are the fibrosis. Okay, and these are the cystic spaces which give like a honeycomb appearance. Okay, and these fibroblasts, these fibers are run parallel with the ear spaces. Okay, clear? And these are patchy. कहीं पे fibrosis है, कहीं पे नहीं है. These are the patchy. Okay. Now, the causes of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis is unknown. That's why we called it idiopathic. But genetic analysis point to rules in the point to role in a alveolar epithelium. Okay, telomerase shortening is basically play a role for the development of idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Okay, then the cell stress related to protein misfolding, abnormal signaling in the alveolar fibroblast, and altered mucin production. Clear? These all causes the increased local production of fibrogenic cytokines such as transforming growth factor beta. Okay? Till now, beta, we are able to know about the different diseases which comes under the heading of restrictive lung disease, number one. Then we discuss the features of UIP, which we call a usual interstitial pneumonia. We discuss the histological features like fibroblastic foci, like there is a patchy infiltration of fibrosis, like there is a honeycomb appearance, multiple like so. Now, what causes the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis is basically it is unknown, but there is a role of a transforming growth factor beta. Clear? Other diseases that causes diffuse interstitial fibrosis are basically a heterogeneous, poorly understood, but most have a better prognosis than the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Now, beta, this is basically a pathogenesis for the development of a idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Whenever there is epithelial activation or injury, then it causes the release of a transforming growth factor, beta 1. These factors then responsible for the activation of the fibroblast and myofibroblast. And these fibroblasts and myofibroblasts causes the deposition of a collagen and extracellular matrix. And then this causes the pulmonary fibrosis. Clear? But I repeat it again that in a restrictive lung disease, basically there is a defect in the interstitium of the lung and it is characterized by fibrosis. Okay? And this fibrosis is basically due to a release of a transforming growth factor beta 1. Now, the cryptogenic organizing pneumonia, or we called it cryptogenic organizing pneumonia is also said to be the bronchiolitis obliterating organizing pneumonia. Clear? And the features of cryptogenic organizing pneumonia are very specific. It shows a fibroblastic plug in the alveolar sacs and ducts, organizing pneumonia, and in a bronchiolar lumen. Clear? And it is formed by a spindle fibroblast in a pale staining matrix of immature loose collagen with polypoid shape, which we call a Mason bodies. Okay, Mason body is a feature of cryptogenic organizing pneumonia. Clear? So please don't be confused. One is the idiopathic organizing pneumonia, other is the cryptogenic organizing pneumonia. In idiopathic organizing pneumonia or UIP, usual interstitial pneumonia, there is a patchy fibrosis, fibroblastic foci, and there is a cystic spaces which we call a honeycomb appearance. While in a cryptogenic organizing pneumonia is also said to be a bronchiolitis obliterans, and it is associated with Mason bodies. Mason bodies Mason bodies is basically a loose collagen. Okay, I will show you this. Okay, these are basically a Mason bodies. These plugs, these fibroblastic plugs, these loose spaces is basically a fibroblastic plug, and these are seen in a cryptogenic organizing pneumonia. Now, pneumoconiosis. Okay, beta. We started our new topic of pneumoconiosis. Pneumoconiosis is basically beta restrictive lung disease. Okay, and the term pneumoconiosis originally described the non-neoplastic lung reaction to inhalation of mineral dust. Okay, it is basically a non-neoplastic lesion. It is basically a restrictive lung disease. It is caused by inhalation of mineral dust. Clear? Encountered in the workplace now also include diseases induced by organic as well as inorganic particulates, chemical fumes, and vapors. Clear? So if anyone can ask in your viva about pneumoconiosis, then you must know that pneumoconiosis is basically a group of diseases. Okay, that is basically a non-neoplastic lung reaction to inhalation of mineral dust, organic be or inorganic. Pneumoconiosis results from a well-defined occupational exposure to a specific airborne agent and air pollutant that have a bad effects on general population. Now, beta, you can appreciate it that these are the different agents, okay, the different agent like coal dust, silica, asbestosis, iron oxide, barium sulfate, and these are the diseases. And these are the causes which cause these diseases. Clear? Like as for example, beta, the coal dust causes are different diseases. Like it may causes the formation of mercury, it may causes the formation of nodule, it may causes anthracosis, or it may be associated with Kaplan syndrome. And it is basically due to exposure of a coal mining. Clear? Silica is basically, silica may cause the silicosis, or it may be a component of Kaplan syndrome. And it is basically associated with a blasting, sand blasting, stone cutting. Okay, clear? Very, very important is asbestosis. Frequently asked in your SEQ, what are the diseases associated with asbestosis? Okay, what are the effects of asbestosis? So asbestos causes the asbestosis, clear? Pleural plaque, mesothelioma. It may causes the laryngeal carcinoma. It may be a component of the Kaplan syndrome. Okay, and asbestosis is basically occurred due to exposure of a mining. Okay, and iron oxide may cause the sidrosis due to welding, etc., etc. Clear? These are other agents. These are the agents due to organic dust induced hypersensitivity pneumonitis, organic dust which may cause asthma, chemicals, fumes, and vapors. Clear? Now, the pathogenesis, the development of a pneumoconiosis is depend upon the amount of dust retained. Okay, duration, amount, how much amount of dust retained, size of the particle solubility, and their physiochemical reactivity. Okay, the pathogenesis of pneumoconiosis depend upon the amount of dust retained in the lung and airways, which depend on the duration of exposure and effectiveness of clearing mechanism. ठीक है, ये नहीं हुआ कि आज मैं गई इंडस्ट्री में और आज ही मुझे हो गया. No, it depend upon the amount of dust retained and depend upon the duration of exposure. Clear? It's very, very important. Size of the particle. Beta 1 to 5 micron meter particles are most dangerous. Because these particles or the particle less than 5 micron meter can reaches to the terminal small airways and air spaces and settle in the air lining. Clear? They can reach to the acinine alveolar spaces. Clear? Now, the development of pneumoconiosis also depends upon the particle solubility and physiochemical reactivity. Clear? Small particles, basically composed of injurious substance of high solubility, cause rapid lung damage, causing acute lung injury. Large particles are not easy to dissolve and remain in the lung parenchyma for years, causing fibrosing collagenous pneumoconiosis. Clear? So basically, the particle solubility play an important role in such a way that the small particle causes the acute injury, the larger particle causes the fibrosis and may causes the chronic lung injury. And the pathogenesis also depend upon the possible effects of other irritants, like along with the industrial exposure, there is a tobacco smoking worsen the effect of all inhaled mineral dust, especially asbestos. Okay, other particles may be taken by the epithelial cells across the epithelial cell lining and interact directly with the fibroblast and interstitial macrophages, reaches the lymphatic by drainage and initiate the immune response. Certain particles activate the inflammation when phagocytosed by the macrophages. Clear? Now, in this picture, you can appreciate it that there are certain natural defensive mechanism in our body. Like in the nose, the hair at the external ear is filter out the larger particles. Means more than 5 micron particles, they can enter the ear because they can be filtered by the hairs of the nerves. Okay, then in the trachea and bronchi, 90% of the particle larger than 3 to 5 micrometer are caught. Trachea पे ही वो खत्म हो जाएंगे. Then the particles between 0.5 to 2 microns reaches the alveolar ducts and alveoli. Okay, so जितना smaller size है उतना ही हमारे लिए बहुत dangerous है कि they can reach to the alveolar spaces. Clear? Now, whenever the particle reaches to the alveolar spaces or enter the airway, then there is a certain responses. There may be the systemic response, there may be the host response. The systemic response is basically when a particle reaches the lymph node via macrophages. Then in a lymph node, initiate the immune response. Okay, local reaction is also initiated. Then the particles translocate to the blood and it evokes the systemic inflammation. While the host tissue response is basically there at a specific site, there may be a formation of a fibrous nodule, as this fibrous nodule can be seen in a ex-cold worker pneumoconiosis. Means the cold worker pneumoconiosis can show a fibrous nodule in a lung. A fibrous nodule can be seen in a silicosis. Clear? And the local effect may be seen as an interstitial fibrosis, as seen in case of asbestosis. Clear? Then there is a hypersensitivity reaction can be seen as in a berylliosis. Now, okay, now we start our new topic, that is cold worker pneumoconiosis. Basically, it is a lung disease that is caused by inhalation of a coal particles and other admixed form of a dust. Dust reduction measured in coal mines have reduced its incidence all over the world. Clear? Spectrum of findings are wide, ranging from asymptomatic anthracosis to simple coal workers pneumoconiosis to progressive massive fibrosis. Beta, I repeat it again that the exposure of a coal may cause the asymptomatic anthracosis or it may cause the simple coal worker pneumoconiosis or it may causes the progressive massive fibrosis. Clear? Now, the coal workers may also develop chronic bronchitis and emphysema. Now, morphology. As we know that the coal worker, the exposure of a coal causes the anthracosis. And anthracosis is basically is the harmless coal-induced pulmonary lesion in a coal miner. Okay, and also seen in urban dwellers and tobacco smokers. Okay, anthracotic pigment can be seen in a tobacco smoker. Clear? Blackish spot, blackish macule, anthracotic pigment can be seen in a tobacco smoker. Okay, now the inhaled carbon pigment is engulfed via alveolar or interstitial macrophages, which then accumulate in the lymphatic or the lymphoid tissue along the bronchi or lung hilus. Clear? Now, and the exposure of a coal may causes the anthracosis. It may causes the simple coal worker pneumoconiosis. The simple coal worker pneumoconiosis is characterized by a coal macule, 1 to 2 millimeter, and some larger coal nodule. Clear? Beta, it is, please keep it in your mind that because in SEQ anyone can ask, what are the complications of coal worker pneumoconiosis or what changes seen in coal worker pneumoconiosis? Then you must know that coal worker pneumoconiosis may causes macule formation, may causes nodule formation, may causes anthracosis. Clear? Now the coal node one is macule when it is 1 to 2 millimeter. When it is larger, then we call it a nodule. And the coal nodule consists of a carbon-laden macrophages. Nodules also contain the delicate network of collagen fibers. Clear? Upper lobe and upper zones are more heavily involved. These are adjacent to the respiratory bronchiole. Beta site is very important. Okay. You must know that a specific type of a disease is associated with the specific areas of the lung, specific lobe. Like yesterday we discussed about the different type of emphysema and the association with different site of lobe. And now, please keep it in your mind that the cold nodules or a cold-related disease mostly seen in the upper lobe and upper zone. Clear? And dilatation of the adjacent alveoli give rise to the centrilobular emphysema. Now, the third type is the complicated cold worker pneumoconiosis because the exposure of a cold may be asymptomatic or it may causes the blackish pigment, it may causes the macule, it may causes the nodule, or it may causes the complication by progressive massive fibrosis occurring in the background of simple disease. एक जगह पे blackish pigment, anthracotic pigment होगा, उसके surrounding में जो है वो fibrosis develop हो जाएगी बहुत ज़्यादा for a prolonged exposure, and it required many years to develop. It is characterized by intensely blackened scars 1 to 10 centimeter and multiple. Clear? And microscopically, the lesion consists of a dense collagen and pigment. Center of the lesion is necrotic due to local ischemia. As beta, you can appreciate it in this picture. This is a gross picture and it shows a blackish pigment. These black jet black spots are basically due to exposure of a cold. Okay, these, and this is the microscopic image and it shows a fibrosis as well as blackish anthracotic pigment, and this image is mostly seen in a cold worker pneumoconiosis. Now, the clinical course. Basically, beta, the cold worker pneumoconiosis is usually benign with no effects on lung function, and progressive massive fibrosis lead to pulmonary dysfunction, pulmonary hypertension, and cold pulmonary. Clear? So now the Kaplan syndrome. Beta, basically, because restrictive lung disease, there are certain diseases associated with Kaplan syndrome. Then you must know what is Kaplan syndrome. Basically, Kaplan syndrome is also said to be a rheumatoid pneumoconiosis, and it is development of rheumatoid arthritis in a cold worker pneumoconiosis, silicosis, and asbestosis. Means the patient of asbestosis or silicosis or cold worker pneumoconiosis can develop rheumatoid arthritis, and we call it Kaplan syndrome. And grossly, it shows a round, firm nodule with central necrosis, cavitation, or calcification. And microscopically, it shows a central zone of dust-laden fibrinoid necrosis enclosed by a palisading fibroblast and mononuclear cells. Clear? So, beta, till now, we are able to know that in our respiratory system, there are mainly two groups, non-neoplastic and neoplastic. In non-neoplastic, obstructive group, restrictive diseases. Okay, on obstructive diseases, we know that emphysema, asthma, and chronic bronchitis, bronchiectasis. Pathogenesis of all these four conditions is very important. Their proper definition, okay, and then their different type of emphysema. Okay, then in restrictive lung disease, you must know what is the difference between obstructive and restrictive lung disease. Okay, restrictive lung disease, interstitium ka defect. So obstructive lung disease, there is a defect, there is obstruction at in a level of airflow. Okay, in restrictive lung disease, there is basically a fibrosis, while in obstructive lung disease, there is a role of inflammation, inflammatory cell. In a restrictive lung disease, the ratio become normal, while in obstructive lung disease, the ratio is decreased. In restrictive lung disease, basically there is a total vital capacity of the lung is decreased, while in restrictive lung disease, the vital capacity is normal. Clear? Then there are, we discussed that there are different type of restrictive lung disease. We divided into four groups: fibrosing type, cavernous type, eosinophilic, smoking related type, and the other. Clear? In fibrosing type, you must know the name, usual interstitial pneumonia, non-specific interstitial pneumonia, cryptogenic organizing pneumonia. Clear? Anyone can ask the granulomatous lesion of the lung, and you must know that it's sarcoidosis, perilosis. Okay, the condition associated with eosinophilia is basically a desquamatic lung disease. Clear? Then we discussed in detail about pneumoconiosis. Better their definition. You must know about the definition of pneumoconiosis. Clear? Basically, in a definition of pneumoconiosis is pneumoconiosis is basically a non-neoplastic disease. Clear? And in them there is an inhalation of organic as well as inorganic compound. Clear? Then better you must know about the diseases associated with cold work pneumoconiosis. Cold worker pneumoconiosis may cause anthracotic pigment, may cause macule, may cause nodule. Clear? This is all about today's lecture. Inshallah, on Monday, we will continue the rest of restrictive lung disease. We will discuss the rest of restrictive lung disease. Okay? Ariba, you want to ask something?
Yes, ma'am.
जी बेटा, you ask.
मैम, जो आपने अभी बताया था कि जो हमारे पास फाइब्रोसिंग डिजीजेस हैं, उसमें जो हमारे पास फोर्स वाइटल कैपेसिटी है वो डिक्रीज हो जाती है।
बिल्कुल।
तो मैम फिर रेशियो कैसे सेम रहते हैं फोर्स एक्सपायरेटरी वॉल्यूम?
क्योंकि जो वाइटल कैपेसिटी डिक्रीज होने की वजह से फोर्स एक्सपायरेटरी वॉल्यूम भी डिक्रीज होता है। ठीक है? आई विल टेल यू इन डिटेल दैट in obstructive lung disease there is only force expiratory volume is decreased. ठीक है? जो vital capacity है lung की it remains same. Okay, that's why ratio decrease हो जाता है. But in restrictive lung disease there is a fibrosis. इंटरस्टिशियम के अंदर फाइब्रोसिस हो जाता है, तो लंग की वाइटल कैपेसिटी, लंग की कैपेसिटी टू गेन द एयर जो है वो कम हो जाती है. ओके, तो एक्सपायरेटरी वॉल्यूम भी डिक्रीज हो जाता है, वाइटल कैपेसिटी भी डिक्रीज होता है, तो रेशियो नॉर्मल रहता है. क्लियर?
मैम मतलब रेशियो नॉर्मल रहता है लेकिन दोनों की वैल्यूज लाइक इक्वली डिक्रीज होती है.
हाँ, इक्वली डिक्रीज हो जाती है और वाइटल कैपेसिटी डिक्रीज हो जाती है बेसिकली. और ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव के अंदर वाइटल कैपेसिटी डिक्रीज नहीं होती क्योंकि उसके अंदर सिर्फ ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन हो जाती है, ऊपर के लेवल पे ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन हो जाती है. क्योंकि as we yesterday discussed that mucus plug formation हो जाती है, एस्थमा के अंदर जैसे हो जाती है, chronic bronchitis के अंदर या bronchitis के अंदर, तो obstruction की वजह से जो ना एयर फ्लो के लेवल में या ब्रोंको कंस्ट्रिक्शन हो जाती है, हमने डिस्कस किया था ना कल. तो ड्यू टू ब्रोंको कंस्ट्रिक्शन की वजह से ऑब्स्ट्रक्शन हो जाती है, तो मेनली उसके अंदर एक्सपायरेटरी वॉल्यूम जो है वो डिक्रीज होता है. क्लियर?
ठीक है, थैंक यू.
ठीक है, ओके बेटा, वेलकम. एनीवन हैव एनी क्वेरी, प्लीज रेज योर हैंड्स. Okay, beta. Thank you. Thank you.